But first, a word from our sponsor, Arthur Treachers. you lined that up,
Dude,
didn't you, Ron?
We need to. Here's the thing. That would be awesome to do nothing but throwback commercials for defunct Cincinnati business.
Treachers.
But also, we're not going to date ourselves. Are we going to date ourselves, though, by doing that?
Clearly. Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Again.
You remember Pat and Joe's, right?
Yeah.
Tim, do you remember Pat and Joe's?
Do I remember Pat and Joe's? I don't. Give me more. Give me more.
My good friends are Pat and Joe. They save my mommy dough. That.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NatiCast, all things Cincinnati. And now to your hosts, Tim Barker, Rex Stull, and Ron Thomas.
It's got nice energy. Oh, yeah. You know? Danny! Ow! Are you sweating like I'm sweating? Welcome to NatiCast. I mean, the heart's pumping, the heart rate's up. I'm Tim Barker. Welcome. NatiCast is dedicated to the people and stories that have a relationship or ties to the greater Cincinnati area. From actors, directors, musicians, athletes, politicians, business leaders, you name it, that you can connect Cincinnati to and the surrounding area, an amazing number of people. It spawns from a place of love and admiration. Two of those spawns are in the studio with us today, and they can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Rex Stull. I'm going to be a producer on the NatiCast, and I'm thrilled that we're kicking this thing off. My friend Ron, who will join us here in a second, and Tim and myself, we were all just getting together, go to a Reds game last year, and decided we should kind of get on some microphones and talk about our city, talk about our lives, and realize the connections that reach out really across the globe to this city.
It's very true. And speaking of that day at the ball game, we decided to get on microphones, so I built a studio. And that's where we are, coming to you live from the TCP studios in Cincinnati, where we will proudly host all of those people who have made all of those connections.
Give us the elevator pitch on Tim Barker.
Tim Barker is 5'10" and a little over 200 pounds, but he's working on that.
Getting back down to that fighting weight soon, right?
Exactly. Got to get to the marathon rate from 2018. But no, I'm an actor. I'm a voiceover artist living here in Brooklyn, the Carroll Gardens, Red Hook area. I've been in New York for 20-plus years, married to my rock, Tracy. We're going to celebrate our 18-year anniversary in May, together 21.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm always, any of the teams that I play softball, various sporting events. I'm always rocking Cincy gear. Everybody knows me as a Cincinnati kid. I present myself as a Cincinnati kid. Any jersey number I can wear, it's 14 for Peter Edward Rose. And my mantra is always, you can take the kid out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the kid. And I love New York. I'm a New Yorker. I love Brooklyn. But I will forever always be connected to Cincinnati. And I was very fortunate to go to a high school with the two of you fine gentlemen. Rex, your dad, Matthew, your grandfather, was just a driving force in my life, leading me on the path that I'm on. And I also find that that's kind of nice to be behind the mic. A little Dave Stull Sr. going on, like for a man who did it his way, that's kind of special too. So
yeah, that is neat. And you said when you mentioned it, it just makes you think about the reach that this city has in your life. I always used to tell people, because when I left here at, I was 20 years old, and I moved to Boston and then New York and around before I ended up coming back to Cincinnati, and I loved all those cities. I mean, I loved living in those places and kind of absorbing what they were. But I always said, for me, it was important because I felt like I could come from here and learn to live in Boston or learn to live in New York or Los Angeles or even Miami when I lived down there. But I always felt like it'd be really hard if somebody were born and raised in New York to live anywhere else. And right. So I felt like the city prepared me to be able to go out and do that. But I was also able to look back and really appreciate what a place like this had to offer. And I always kind of felt like the people I met who were from those other places were missing that in some way, right? They just couldn't, they didn't get it. You know what I mean? It all seemed a big mystery to them. Like, well, why would you ever, what's the draw there? And yeah, which was fine. I mean, I understood their point given where they came from, but I kind of felt like, I was really glad that I came from here because it allowed me to go somewhere else. And I just felt like some of those other places, like if you start there, it's really hard to ever come back and appreciate. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel similarly. Not really living in a lot of the other places, but certainly doing a lot of traveling as a sound engineer. It was amazing how many band members, how many entertainers, when they find out you're from Cincinnati, they would pick a spot that they'd been here. They would talk about, a lot of the older entertainers would talk about, excuse me, the Skywalk or the Playboy Club, performing at the Playboy Club or performing at the Beverly Hills Supper Club. Just so many things. But it seems like everywhere I went, even as far as Russia, in St. Petersburg, Russia, shortly after the fall of communism, shortly after the fall of communism. And they took American dollars, and I was at one of those makeshift markets, and I didn't have any small bills, and there was something I wanted to buy, and I just kind of happened to look over to my left, and a guy was opening his wallet to take out small bills, and I looked and noticed an Ohio driver's license, and so I go all the way around the world to meet somebody from right up the street. So it seems everywhere I went, I could meet people from right here.
Tracy and I are in Paris. This is probably maybe 10 years ago. It's when what's his name missed the extra point against the Broncos. Anyhow, we're specifically going to Jim Morrison's grave, and as we're walking there's nobody else there. This is Paris. Nobody else is there except for one dude walking in a Cincinnati Bengals jersey. I was like, this is a sign, man. Yeah. This is a sign.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, Ron was talking about like the number of people, when you're out running, sound, and we both spend time working on cruise ships. And so you run into, a lot of people from all over the world. And it never, ever ceased to amaze me. Like everybody had played this town or been through this town. And you mentioned the Beverly Hills Supper Club. I mean, at some point in time, it'd be great to do a bit of a deep dive on that place. Because, I mean, I even remember in an episode of Mad Men, it was mentioned, right, that they were playing the Beverly Hills Supper Club. And I think people forget, like, what an outsized venue that was, for people to come through the Midwest and play when that circuit was alive and well.
Also, the King Studios, right?
Yes.
Where James Brown recorded.
Yeah,
it's not there anymore.
Well,
but.
No, the building is still
there.
Yeah, and they just approved funds to do an initial plan to turn it, to renovate
National
it and
Historic.
turn it into something. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, they have to. Yeah.
So it's still standing. It didn't get torn down. Thank goodness.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just drove by it today. The King's Records building.
That's
you can see it from I-71. It's not very far from where we are.
Yeah.
We're in downtown Cincinnati here, and but it's not very far away. 1, 2, 3 exits or so up the highway. You look to the left, and there it is.
And it's really nondescript. I mean, it's a
If you didn't know, you wouldn't know.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah, you drive right past it. In fact, I don't know for how many years. As a young person, we didn't know about it.
No.
And Ivan, I grew up downtown and worked at Kings Island for 2 or 3 summers. So I drove every day past it and had no idea that's what I was driving past.
I want it duly noted that my water bottle is sitting on top of a Reds coaster in the booth.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Outstanding.
I just want that noted.
No, it should be duly noted. And I have to say, as we get into this, I mean, Tim has just an astonishing amount of memorabilia stored. I've never been to his apartment, but God only knows where you pull those things out of. I mean, you've come up with.
Wait, do you have jerseys too?
I've got everything.
Well, nah.
Do you have a Rafael Landis-Stoy jersey? Now that would impress me.
Rafael Landis-Stoy. Wow.
Stoy.
And we will be right back. The NatiCast is supported by Mad Cheese. Mad Cheese is a completely plant-based, dairy-free cheese and charcuterie shop located in Madisonville. The owners, Cincinnati natives Heather and Reggie Donaldson, handcraft over 30 different plant-based cheeses and meats in their commercial production kitchen behind the storefront. You're invited to stop in and sample the wide array of products, book a curated tasting, or sign up for the new subscription box program, which will feature an exclusive new cheese every month with recipes and board building tutorials. For more, head to Instagram and Facebook at Mad Cheese Cincy or go to www.madcheese.com. And with that, back to the show.
What's the name of the nightclub that used to sit on the corner up there in Clifton, the gigantic one?
Burgundy's.
Burgundy's. Oh, my God.
Burgundy's nightclub. Yeah, exactly.
Burgundy's. Well, Lighthouse Limited and then Burgundy's.
And then Burgundy's, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
But that was back with there's another one that's not around anymore. Peppercorn. TC
Peppercorn.
Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one right there on top of that nightclub.
Do they even still make like Ponderosa anymore? Is that still around?
Ponderosa's gone.
What's the? Wasn't there another steak, like the buffet style? Not Swizzlers. Was it Swizzlers? Sizzlers. That's
no,
it.
there was Sizzler. Yeah.
Sizzler, yeah.
Sizzler, Ponderosa. Yeah. Well, I remember when a guy we went to school with actually worked at the Ponderosa in Bond Hill, or the one out on Reading
Who worked
Road.
at there? Was it Carlos?
Yeah.
He who shall remain nameless. Oh, Carlos Snow?
Yeah.
Or, Carlos Smith. Okay.
Smith. He was the guy that would reach into that fish bowl and pull out the business card for the free meal every week.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. Do I need to go any? I mean, but they would like tape the business card to the little sign. Hey, this is the winner of the free meal. And week after week, I'm going in there, and people are looking at me funny. So finally, I look over at the little board where they taped the business card. That card was all like dirty and
crumpled
and worn
out.
In fact, yeah. And I didn't even have my own card at the time. I was working. It was like one of those generic cards from a company, and you write your name on there. Yeah. So the card would never go in the fishbowl. He would just put it in his pocket. So that's why, he's just reaching his pocket. Oh, hey, looks like this Ron Thomas guy won a free dinner this week. Snap the card up there so I'd come out, eat. A week later, hey, looks like Ron Thomas won a free meal this week.
To this day, it is ingrained in me. My mother believed any type of situations akin to that if you crumpled the piece of paper, the ticket, whatever it was, before putting it into the bowl, that your chances of winning increased. Like
the beautiful thing about the beautiful thing about it is, one, it sounds plausible.
Yeah.
And two, there's no way to disprove it.
You are absolutely correct, Rex.
Which is the perfect kind of theory to have.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot disprove it. All you need to do is win once, and you go.
See what I said? Yeah, that's it. And if the old timers or the OGs are going to be talking, I'd love like the Ethan, a 22-year-old. Okay, what, where is Arthur still a thing there? Where are you going, Ethan? Like, what is the? I'd love to pull him in on a, what is
that's really cool.
Like, what's happening with where what's. They took away our arcade games under the on the square, so it's like what's happening? What's happening with the 22?
What was the name of it? What was the
Station
name of
Break?
Station Break.
God.
Station
Love
Break.
Station Break.
I was more Jupiter. and beyond.
Station Break.
Up in Clifton on Short Line.
What was your if you had to say your game? What would be if you had a chance right now? I gave you a quarter. You could drop it in. What are you playing?
Asteroids.
Donkey Kong.
Okay, I love it. Galagala.
What about you?
Galaxia.
Level 3.
I gotta have both
one,
rocket ships.
That first
man.
chance.
You got to get the
right.
other one.
The first chance when you can pair them up. Yeah,
and then just
I remember
spray,
it well.
man, spray.
Well, actually, we can do alternatives with young guys. So for everything that's defunct, we talk about Arthur Treachers. We talk about that with Ethan. It's okay. So where do you go for seafood?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, but these kids nowadays, I mean, I'm looking at Ethan. He's, some high-end sushi joint like that. Is that wasabi on your collar?
And in order for us to get sushi back then, basically the Arthur Treacher's cook had to be drunk, and he gave you a piece of frozen fish.
which has
fish
happened,
sticks.
which was known to happen.
Fish sticks.
Well, that was that was the story. So does anybody remember Longworth in Mount Adams?
Yeah.
Okay, so we lived in Mount Adams right growing up, and Dave's, my brother, his first job was, I don't know, he was probably 16, was up at Longworth's. And actually, just as a little side note, so the head bartender there, his name was Bevo. That's what they called him. And everybody thought, well, it's his nickname because he's a bartender. And Dave was like, so where'd you get the nickname Bevo? Because you're a bartender? He goes, no, my last name is Bevo. And that dude pulled out a driver's license, and the dude's last name is Bevo. Okay, so that's first of all. So he's up there, and he's a busboy. Because they had, it was just a bar. The nightclub was upstairs, but the restaurant was downstairs, and he's bussing tables. And this woman's kind of looking around. She snags him. He's got his little thing and says, "I'm sorry, I need some. There's a problem with my fish." And she goes, "What?" He goes, "Well, hang on a sec. Let me get a waiter for you." He goes, can help you out." She goes, "No, you can help me." He goes, "Well, what's wrong with it?" And she goes, "Clink," and it was frozen. It was dead,
solid,
frozen, like never even made it into the fryer, frozen. He's like, "Oh, let me go do that." So he picks it up, and he's like walking back to the back, and he goes back in the back, and the cooks are hammered, and Bevo has been sending pictures of Long Island iced teas to the back in exchange for fried foods coming up to the bar all night. And the cooks are flinging out frozen pieces of fish.
Well, let's take a quick break and get a word from our sponsor, right? How'd you like that? That was
that
was
there?
Awesome. Are we
That's
there,
the way
Matthew?
to do it. So we were, Matthew,
That's
how
great.
we do, Matthew?
I loved it. The NatiCast would like to take this opportunity to tell you about Red Oak Animal Rescue. It is a local nonprofit animal sanctuary right here in the Cincinnati area. If you're looking for a good way to give back to your community and see some cute animals on your feed all at the same time, please head over to Red Oak Animal Rescue on Instagram or Facebook, or check them out at their website, redoakanimalrescue.com. The best way to support Red Oak Animal Rescue is to check out the Patreon page and sign up for a monthly subscription, or click the link to check out some of their adorable merch. Once again, the NatiCast is very happy to support Red Oak Animal Rescue, and with that, back to the show.
I was shocked in that Beyonce commercial for McDonald's. 1 in 8 individuals have worked at McDonald's.
That was a staggering. I agree with you. It totally. Yes.
It's America's best first job.
I couldn't believe it.
How about you, Tim? Did you ever work at a McDonald's?
I did not work at a McDonald's. Summer, I was down in Virginia Beach. I was doing working at a Shakespeare company. This is in between college years, and Gus's Mariner Restaurant. I was working at in Virginia Beach.
Please tell me there was a costume.
No, I think it was a light blue shirt. I think
Okay, all right.
standard, khaki pants. But I will tell you this: there was a lot of eating non-fully eaten lobster tails. If only a bite was taken on one side, it was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut that away, and this is going in the gullet.
No.
There were on the road. There were nights coming back from the show. If you do a show at night, there's nothing open. Where we did hit a couple of those uneaten club sandwiches off of the room service.
Yeah,
so,
man.
I won't deny that.
We've all been there. If it hasn't been touched on one side, the sides don't conflate.
Now, didn't your old man though? I thought
Snappy
he owned
Tomato Pizza.
A Snappy
You got
Tomato.
it
you didn't work.
Oh,
there?
yeah, I
that's
did. I
right.
delivered pizzas.
Okay.
Wait, was that the one on Donaldson Road?
Thomas, kind of we were in
Fort
Cali,
Thomas?
Crestview
Oh.
Hills. Crestview Hills. It was near the
Okay.
Buddings. So
The Buddings Never mind.
I know.
Yeah,
That's like a 4-part episode with maybe 2
you
extra
don't say.
parts. But
Yeah.
it would be fun to get Becky on. That would, and Heather McFadden is actually really good friends with Christy.
You know what? That's talking about guests. She would be a perfect guest.
Yeah.
Huh.
A perfect guest for the NatiCast. She was on a soap opera for years, wasn't she?
One of them. I think a couple actually. It was One Life to Live.
Christy did one as well, didn't she?
No, she was did a couple. Remember she did like Fresh Horses with Andrew.
So
McCarthy. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Molly Clay
and Molly Ringwald. And the reason I know this is because I was also in Fresh Horses.
Oh my God!
Oh, they shot that here?
Cutting room floor. I'm pretty sure I ended up. I was an extra.
Were you a ranch hand?
I'm sorry. What do they call them? A background. No, we were.
Tending to the horses. Rex is like,
It was
your
early
horse
days.
is ready, ma'am.
Yeah, who's out there? Yeah, my great grandpa Tecumseh Stull.
She
days.
just been. We just hosed her down, and I just gave her a good brushing.
We just floated her teeth and did her hooves. Got her.
I like this. She's a big one. She stands 14 hands at the withers.
Oh my goodness!
They were shooting up on the UC campus, and so they had us, do these big walkthroughs of the UC campus and Fresh Horses. I actually was trying to find it when Hannah started working on movies here, and I was like, I worked on this movie shot in Cincinnati, but I don't even think you can stream that thing anywhere.
Fresh Horses.
Yeah, it did not. It did not
Didn't do well.
as I recall.
It did not.
So I didn't even. No IMDb credit for me on Fresh Horses, but I'm an uncredited background actor.
I was an extra in The Pride of Jesse.
Was that
Allen.
a young people special? Or was it
No,
an actual
I think it was
feature
an
film?
actual. Well, it was Johnny Cash starred, so I don't think it was a feature film. It was probably a young people special.
That's got to be a feature film.
Yeah.
That's got to be the Hallmark movie of the week anyway.
It's something like that. But anyway,
Speaking, have you ever been in a movie of the week, Tim? MLW?
I mean, the young people's, the Tom Robertson's young people specials.
Tim and I,
Right.
starred together.
The Boy Who Couldn't Lose.
The Boy Who
And
Couldn't
that
Lose.
will-
Actually, I mean, let's co-starred because the star
exactly.
was Todd
That will be
Palazzo.
our lead-in with Todd's episode.
That will be The Boy Who Couldn't
There
Lose.
was a-
Everybody
lose.
was shooting hoops in a scene, right?
There was a classroom
Yeah.
scene as well where there were a bunch of people in the classroom.
you know
scene.
what? No, that was 10th grade. I think because I remember I tried to skip school and get out and
It could have been.
and like sneak up to Walnut Hills and do some of the
Right.
scenes with you. But
Yeah, it could have been.
They weren't having it. I wasn't. savvy
Security
back
was
then.
loose on those, man. You would have been able to easily,
Well, my acting chops weren't up.
I didn't get to go.
For it.
Kamara and I didn't get to go to the Walnut Hills day because I believe we were Todd's geeky friends, right? Like we were the friends with him, and he was only over there because of his fabulous plays that he was putting out. Wasn't he like the Water Boy or
exactly.
something? I don't
Wow.
Yes.
It's kind of the same today, actually.
Right.
I think I'm one of his geeky friends. I think I don't know.
Yeah, the boy who couldn't lose. So yeah, we'll have to get a full copy of that to have a watch. I have a memory, and again, it's been 30 some odd years since I've seen it. Whether it was on, but I remember. Like in that classroom scene, one of the reasons I remember is that because you can see me constantly sneaking a peek up at the camera, like looking, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like we never learned
Camera technique?
that kind of
Right.
acting, camera technique. So you're looking in front, and they're like, "Yeah, don't look at the camera," but you can just see your eye just kind of dart over at the camera, and I'm like, that's not good at all. That's just not a good
the
look.
one scene where I'm chastising Todd about, what are you talking about, Zach or Gal, whatever the hell his name is, and then I'm like, I'm like, the eyebrow acting that I'm doing is like, I mean, breaking the lens. I'm like, dude, you're not on stage, Tim. You know what I mean? You're like, just tone it down. Like, let's get a little more intimate.
Well, and as we're sitting here on microphones too, that was the other thing I remember when we were doing our walk and talk scene. Like they would stop and they'd be like, "Okay, guys, you're mic'd, right? So you're just having a conversation here. You're not like not the back of the balcony or anything. We're just talking to each other right here, because we were blowing it out. The other thing I'd love to find, I'm sure they're long gone. Did you do a juvenile court?
I don't think so.
Remember they used to film that show Juvenile Court in town. I forget who the judge was. So I did. Yeah, I did a juvenile court as well, which I think are gone. I think my brother did one as well.
What were you?
I thought those were real.
What were you on? Yeah, right. You were pretending to be the case that had happened, right?
Yes, exactly. So it was like ripped from the headlines, if you will. But so it was some sort of a case, and it was staged, right? So you had a script, and I think like I was. I was with I don't remember if it was with a friend or whatever, but we got caught throwing rocks off an overpass at like down on cars or something. Right, that was the case. I don't remember what he did to us, but
you had to watch police cars because it seemed like every week they were getting you're 20 days on the unpaid work detail, which was. But I never realized those were actors.
Oh. So I pulled it off, and you saw me. We saw the young Rex on there.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I never realized the people on television were not the actual
right. There wasn't a
people.
Real
because you don't watch credits back then. You just watch the stuff, and it was Paul Trevor, if I believe.
Oh,
Trevor,
good call,
right.
RT.
If memory serves, yeah.
That is strong. That's
we never watched the credits. We just
you mentioned throwing rocks, Rex. I had rocks thrown at me at a walkathon when I was like, I think about 11 or 12. Yeah, yeah.
Was it?
I mean,
was it the people you were raising money for? You didn't have enough pledges.
I don't know, dude. The neighborhood we were in, I think it was too many white people in the neighborhood we were in.
Was it like the pro fur lobby or something? You were doing a walk for?
I know. I have a distinct memory of that. Oh yeah,
wow. Yeah. That walkathon, boy, that turned into a 10K really quick. That turned into a run.
It was a 5K run.
It was a runathon.
Throwing rocks at that.
Man. Oh my goodness.
Were you in the quartet at Kings Island, RT? In the red striped vest with the.
I tried out for it. My chops were Kings Island caliper. I wasn't quartet material.
So a couple Kings Island stories. So Ron worked there first. What was your first show? What did you do?
First show was the rock and roll show. Did sound for the rock and roll show, and then the country show was my second year.
The rock and roll show was in the show place.
In the big one. No, that was the one in the big theater.
In the theater.
Is that still there?
It is still there. Yeah. They've scaled back the shows back then were big. I mean, they really were. I think the productions have been scaled back a lot. But like Ron mixed the country show in Showplace, which is the outdoor amphitheater. And I think maybe it was the next summer. It might have been the very next summer. I think I got the country show and ran it. And Scott Monning choreographed it, right? Who worked at Jack Rouse. Worked with Jack Rouse down there. And so Scott choreographed it. And Carter was in the country show with me that summer. And that was a blast. I mean, I don't. Did you ever work?
I did not.
Tim? Did you ever?
I did not. I rode the beast, and you
right.
know.
I mean, I had a blast working there. And that summer that I worked there, running the country show. So we shared the show place had a country show and a pop show, and so I think we were, like there was one long day where each show would have a day off, but then otherwise both shows performed.
Right. And the Smurf show.
And the Smurf show. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we would. So we had back then. They had the Dolphins, right? The Dolphin show was right behind Showplace. So the guy that was when the DX7, the Yamaha DX7, the synthesizer first came out, with the little cards in it and the sounds, and we just thought this was the best thing ever.
Right.
So the Dolphin show was directly adjacent to the International Showplace outdoor amphitheater, and so our keyboard player, who Jeff Kazee was his name, and he really thought he was Paul Schaefer. I mean, he was convinced that he was Paul. Well, to look nothing like him, but he was a great. He knew everything.
Incredible keyboard player.
Incredible keyboard player.
Great musician.
He loved screwing around. So one day he was sitting there up on stage and he was popping the cartridges in and trying to just listen to the different sounds around there. This was all pretty new stuff, right? And he popped it in there, and there was a perfect sound of a whistle. I said, "Hang on a second, Jeff." So we cranked that thing up in the sound system, and we'd listen to the trainer over there, and so like 3, deet, 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 and you could get the dolphins to jump out of the water, or you could get them to swim backwards.
Oh my God.
Which is, of course, terrible.
Yeah.
I think back at the crap that we did, and the trainer would just get furious at us because obviously nobody's rewarding them.
Right.
So yeah, it's not good. Anyway, it just reminded me of that. And that same summer, Ron had switched over and he was working games maintenance, which meant that he had keys to the entire. We were talking about like game rooms,
Right.
of every game on the big arcades that they had in there,
Skee-ball?
because he had to go fix like skee-ball, whack-a-mole, because especially those, because he had to go in there and fix those mechanical games. Mm-hmm. So when we get done at the show, we'd go in there and they were basically shut down, and we would just go in there and he could unlock all the machines and we could just sit in there for hours. I mean, the park was closed playing games into the dark of night for
Did
free.
Bevo work there selling fish sandwiches?
The NatiCast is proudly brought to you by Pago Lago Productions. This show is hosted by Tim Barker, Rex Stull, and Ron Thomas. Produced and edited by Matthew Lake, and associate produced by Ethan Spanja. Special thanks to Sadie Kern at Pop Gun Flow for the graphics, and to Brando Triantafilu for the original theme song. Feel free to follow us at _NatiCast on Instagram, or head to our website, thenaticast.com. You can get this show wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.